Gata for the sound of the bell. Mind calm, body at ease, breathing quiet, sentiment benevolent. Dharma friends, sitting still in vital silence, wanting nothing, we practice eco-Buddhism together. The sound of the temple bell booms for all to cease from conflict. May the way of Buddha usher in the dawn of non-violent global village forever. Here is the after sound of the bell. Thunder of silence, light after Dharma rain. Varochana Mahamudra. Mani Padme Jvala Pravartaya.
Please stand for the chanting of the three refuges. First, we will chant in Sino-Korean according to our tradition, and then followed by English recitation. Sim Quim Yam I go for refuge to the Buddha
I go for refuge to the Buddha
and resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment
and realize the great way.
and realize the great way.
I go for refuge to the Dharma
I go for refuge to the Dharma
and resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will penetrate the teachings
I will penetrate the teachings
and uncover oceans of wisdom.
and uncover oceans of wisdom.
I go for refuge to the Sangha
I go for refuge to the Sangha
and resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will seek peace and happiness for the many
I will seek peace and happiness for the many
and transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
and transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
Please come forward now and be seated or stand as is suitable for you. For this special part of our service this morning, before Dr. Lu's talk, we are going to do the Bardo prayer for Ruth Bader Ginsburg, beloved in our country, who has just passed away. And Mom's going to lead us.
O compassionate ones, abiding in all directions, endowed with all-knowing wisdom and loving compassion, giving protection and guidance to all sentient beings, we invoke your presence and ask that you hear our prayer. O compassionate ones, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is passing from this world to the next. She has entered the great mystery of death and rebirth. O compassionate ones, protect Ruth, who is now defenseless. Be to her like a father and mother. O compassionate ones, give guidance to Ruth, who is now alone with the joys and sorrows of her past life. Guide her to see beyond her blindness and to let go of attachments, so that she may move freely through the passage between lives. May the power of unconditional forgiveness embrace her. May she be clear and unafraid amid the karmic winds that may surround her. May she know all sounds as her own sound. May she know all lights as her own light. May she know all pain and pleasure to be transient. O compassionate ones, help her heart to be open, and may the thought of loving kindness guide her to choose a new life that will benefit herself and others. May the sound of this prayer emanate in all directions. May these thoughts become her thoughts. May all doubts dissolve. May the power of our love be strong and clear. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, compassionate ones, manifest now your ancient vows. May all beings awaken to the unborn and undying Buddha mind, the source and substance of all there is. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, Bodhi Saha. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, Bodhi Saha. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, Bodhi Saha.
Please be seated. Good morning, everyone. It's good to be speaking to you on this sunny morning, pretty fresh from the temple here in Ann Arbor. It's a special day as we chant the Bardo prayer for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It's a sobering day. If you would like this Bardo prayer, please be in touch so we can send it to you. It's our custom to do the Bardo prayer for a period of 49 days from the time of a person's death to guide their way and also our way. So let us know. It's my pleasure this morning now to introduce our speaker. His name is Dr. Liu, and he has been speaking at the temple. This will be his fourth time, his fourth annual talk. He has been caring for me along with the practitioners at the Nourishing Life Clinic for at least 5 years, and I feel that all of my wellness is a result of their care as well as my efforts to be disciplined. Yeah. So I'm always eager to have Dr. Liu speak with you and answer your questions, because these days our health is so important. You know, our bodily health certainly affects our mental health and our minds. Dr. Liu really has been learning about Chinese medicine since he was a small child in Buddhist monasteries in China. And he will be, I hope, telling you more about his journey, which progressed into him coming to this country, learning Western medicine, and then eventually coming here to Ann Arbor to establish the Nourishing Life Clinic. And I think that it's interesting for us to know that medicine has been in his family for really more than 500 years, where many of the doctors in his family have been looking after the royalty in China. And what is special about Dr. Liu, rather than being a lifetime student of Chinese medicine, is some special skills he has, diagnostic skills, pharmacology knowledge, and protocols for wellness that he designs through his experience training with healing monks in the Buddhist monasteries. Dr. Liu speaks very well for himself. I can't see you, Dr. Liu, but welcome to your talk from the temple this bright September morning.
Hello, my friends and seekers. I hope you can hear me. And this is my first experience doing a live stream through Zoom. So to be honest with you, I have no idea what you can and cannot see. But if you can see me, you can see my garden. So Haju wants me to just share a little bit of story about my journey in healing and how I was trained and so on and so forth. So let's start with that. It is not such a big deal as it is here in Asia, in the East, that people or monks, that healing monks, that they will select the next generation of diagnostic healing monks and other type of healing monks as well. So my monastery, the monastery that trained me, that our focus has always been and will always be healing. So we're not a teaching monastery. We are purely a healing monastery that the monks are trained to be a small, very small group, to be trained as diagnostic healing monks, which our monastery has about, we are young, we have about 1,500 years history, and from generations to generations, that just a very small group of diagnostic healing monks will be taught. And then we have 5,000 acres. We have about 800 healing monks and more monks working together, but we have farming monks. Their job is to do herbal farming and other type of farming. And we have procedure monks, and their job is to carry out my design. And I was trained as a diagnostic healing monk. So my job is to look at you, that to see that what is imbalances in your system, and give a treatment plan and step by step to get you from imbalance, not so balanced, to a more balanced life. So that, and after I trained years, well, training with monks is, it's very simple and very disciplined, very structured life. That every day that you get up 5:45 and you chant a little bit and do a colon massage in bed before you get up. And then you do a variety of self-exercise, chanting and breakfast and study. And then they will train you step by step. So the training that in monastery, what they train me is just how to do diagnosis properly. So it's based on the big umbrella of traditional Chinese medicine, and also Buddhist and Taoist healing. So with that tradition that you learn, you look at human, you look at a person, you see, okay, so how's the energy, how's the the 5 basic things. How is this person's toxins level? How's the stagnation level? How's the inflammation level? How's the gut? And how's the immune system? And then you provide them with a comprehensive treatment plan. And that will help to nourish them physically, psychologically, spiritually, and all above. So that was a part of the training. And then my family has been in medicine for many, many generations. So they used to be, we call Yu Yi. Yu Yi is to treat the emperors and the court families. So we've been doing medicine for the past, at least 500 years. So they also trained me, and we have a lot of really incredible healers and medical doctors. And my third part of the training is that in medical school, because my family through generations, and we were all received the MD degree that combined everything. That's where I am. And so we have a clinic in Ann Arbor, Michigan, that I've been seeing. Well, we have at least 3,000 patients, just to help them with variety of imbalances. And most of them the imbalances have lead to certain illnesses. But all the group that they come to us, and I think they understand the importance of healing. They understand the importance of, they are willing, not always able, but they're willing to do their part. Means that we change their diet, we give them self-care programs, and also give them treatment. So that has been just a little bit of my journey till now. So I really don't know how. I thought I would have an audience, but I don't really see anyone. So I'm not quite sure what things that people want me to talk about. Should I go through? And I was hoping someone would send me a list of questions.
Hello, Dr. Liu. This is Kusa.
Yes.
So I'm helping with the live stream in the background. And just so you know, you do have an audience on YouTube.
Okay.
And so I'm posting questions there to see if we can get questions from them.
Okay.
I know we had some pre-questions. If you don't mind starting with them now, I think probably on a lot of people's minds is COVID and everything that's happening with the coronavirus. So if there's something you would like to say about that in terms of, how you think it plays a role in the global health world and how to work with it on an individual basis. Yeah.
Well, you see, our monastery has 1,500 years of history. traditional Chinese medicine has 5,000 years of history. Well, the positive side of that is that if we think this is new, if you look back history, you will say, oh, this is really not new, because we lived through, as humans, a lot of pandemic times, right? The infectious disease, and we had smallpox, we have Ebola, we have SARS. Do you remember the SARS? We have AIDS, and we have H1N1. So this COVID-19, that I think it just took a lot of people by surprise, because in modern society, people haven't really paid that much attention to medicine, or we just haven't really experienced something in such a scale. So where are we with this? Medically, that each strain of virus has this peak, right? And then try to study, try to infect as many people. That's what they are designed to do. That's what they are doing, right? And then begin to slow down and faint away. And then we may have seen another peak of it, or so on and so forth. So the question really is that, how do we live with it? How do we keep ourselves, our families, our community safe, and keep living, and be very mindful of how to work with this, and also keep living? I think that really is the question that we need to ask. So can we do that? Yes, we can. We've been in our clinic doing it quite successfully since January. So that if we want to go into how do we do it, I'll be happy to share that as well. Just tell me what, do you want me to go into more details on that?
Yeah, maybe briefly just on how you're handling it from the clinic side, but also maybe your suggestions or whatever you can say for people who are curious, how am I to live with this on a daily basis? Yeah. And then I'm gathering some questions from the YouTube stream too.
Okay. So I had a good, I think that great blessing that I work with medical doctors and great healers internationally, right? So when this COVID-19 first started, I was receiving some requests. Hey, what do you think about how to treat this? We know this is a respiratory, but since January, that after reviewing certain cases, then quickly what I did is went back to history, because you learn the present, you live in the present moment. But if you want to know what's going on, our future lays in the history. So, and to see, okay, so what was the last time we have a scale like that? How did people survive? How did we deal with it? What did we do in monastery? What is it? It's really go back to what I always says to my patients. It's about your immune system. It's about how to lower your toxins level, how to lower your inflammation, how to lower your stagnation. So what we did is that we quickly have our herbs that we start brewing herbs starting January. That brewing herbs is a tradition of helping to eliminate, to get the very healthy herb smell into your nostrils, and therefore to help to clean up the nostrils a little bit and also clean up your lungs. So through that method to boost up immune system. So January, February, and March, and entering early April, that was the period of time we try to learn as many cases as we can. We didn't have in our clinic, because of our capacity, we didn't see any COVID cases, but rather if people have any symptoms, we send them herbs. But happily, I report and we have no severe cases, because I really do believe our patients have always been trying to build up their immune system, lower their inflammation and stagnation. So there are some people who said, oh, Dr. Lu, I feel I have this symptoms and that symptoms. Don't know if it was COVID. And back then it was not, the test was not that available. So we send them herbs, and people continue to come in for treatment. Our clinic has opened throughout this because there are people that they need our service for many other imbalances they're facing. We give them herbs, immune boosting herbs, and they do at home. We give them certain massages and certain health self-care programs they do at home. So we have been doing it very mindfully, but throughout this time that I have to, give to my patients, we have built up a low risk community together. People are mindful in it. They have tried to eat well. They try to manage their stress, although lately we do see a lot of people came with severe anxiety, but that is very understandable with the energy out there.
Yeah, thank you for that response. And I hear deep themes about community and history and seeing us together with all beings and putting us in that place. And I have a question for that, but I'm not running the show. I want to go to the audience. So there's a few questions that have come up already. One I'll come back to about breathing techniques, but two that relate to what you're talking about here. So Ruth asks, what is a common imbalance and how do you treat it? And then Julie asks, what is the common cause or reason that people have low energy levels? So they seem to be related to what you're talking about, questions about imbalance and low energy.
So in balance, there are 5 things that we always check, right? The 5 basic categories that if people have imbalances, there are 2 main factors. Factor 1 is external. External could the outside energy, the energy of nature. Are we making our nature, the connection with nature? So in traditional Chinese medicine, in our tradition, that we have a very, very important concept is that we are one with. We are, like it or not, we are one with nature. If we make nature ill, inevitably we will be ill with the nature. If we do whatever we can to keep the nature well, then we will be well with nature. I think since, industrial revolution, and even before that, that a lot of times human beings let their greed get better at them, right? Then they begin to not taking good care of nature. So especially the last 30 or 20 years, that if we make nature ill, then we will see a lot of strange illness and a lot of illnesses. So that's the external factor. Is the nature ill? Is the weather? Is the dampness in the weather? What is it that is in nature that have direct effect in us? And then the second part of why we have imbalances is inside of us. Inside of us, we have a list I want people to check. This list is very short, but very effective. You ask yourself, are you sleeping well? 8 hours good sleep. Are you sleeping the right hours? Right? Are you pooping well? Gorgeous bowel movements every morning. Do you eat well? Are you eating a balanced diet? How do you manage your stress level? Do you overindulge? So these are the questions you ask yourself. If you can answer you've done well, then I say you have a pretty good inside balance. If you say, oh, well, then we know there are things we will need to work on. So that's the two main factors, what bring the illnesses, what bring the imbalances. The low energy, there are, again, a variety of reasons, right? To cause people to have low energy. It could be you have liver energy stagnation. It could be because you have, gut imbalance, or you have your kidney system is weak, you're not sleeping enough, all these things. So because I cannot see you, so I don't know your particular case, but if you send me a photo with your tongue sticking out, I'll tell you why you have low energy.
Thank you for that response, Dr. Liu. And I don't know if I can follow up with that. Just to the audience, I actually was able to be in part of your clinic last year in the summer. And everyone there was very helpful and helped me quite a bit. And I find that your online kind of self-help massages to be very useful. I don't know if you want to say something about them, but I just saying that for other people to look for Dr. Liu on YouTube.
Yes. Look at us on YouTube. We have very helpful cooking tips because you are what you eat. And we also post a lot of how to do self-massages, right? If you feel, oh, how am I going to strengthen my lungs? We have a lung balance health massage, and that you will need, especially we're entering fall. And we have spleen health massage for people who cannot focus. And we have anxiety massage. We have a variety of things, and check it out. And I think that if you, and overall, we have a movement called 10 energy movements. That is something that I encourage all of you to do daily. So
there's another question that came in. It's specifically if you can say anything about microcosmic orbits of the body, which I believe is a Taoist energy cultivation technique around breathing. I don't know much about it. Do you know something about this? Can you say something about that?
So in monastery, what we teach is that, you see, there is a basic breathing technique, and there is we call that meridian line patting technique that also will help with breathing. Let me see, where's my tool? Just give me 1 second. I'll show you that tool I have. Okay, I'm back. So the basic breathing is really what is the 5.5 seconds in. When we breathe every single minute, we should do what? We should mindfully 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 seconds. That's we call the correct way of breathing in using your nose. 5.5 seconds out with your mouth. And so that's one basic technique that we use in monastery. And then second, we have a tool like this. Oh, this is one of my new toys. You see, this has herbs in it, and the herbs will help to reduce dampness, because in modern society, dampness is one of the fundamental imbalances people have. So what we teach people do is to do the meridian line patting, because when you try to get the oxygen, you're not just breathing in from your nose and out from your mouth. Just think about, we know modern science that is scientifically proved that all of us has more than 2 miles of blood vessels, and it yet to be proven, but we believe in monastery, and in traditional Chinese medicine, each single one of us has more than 3 miles of meridian lines. All those lines has those little vectors of energy field and energy points that take in oxygen. By petting them, you are helping them to open up, because modern society has made us less intuitive. So, and then the other thing is that we are, the more imbalanced you are, the higher inflammation and stagnation, the less your body will take in oxygen, will take in the nutrients from earth. So by petting it, and there's certain technique you do, we are helping the whole system to open up. So that is a breathing technique, 2 parts, basic and meridian line petting. And then the other thing is always meditate. When you meditate, your body enters a stage of calmness. And you see the difference between the healing monks and people is that healing monks, that they are in that stage all the time, right? People have to, through meditation, to get there. But the whole key is try to get there.
Yeah, thank you very much. And there's another question, and since it seems to be coming up in what you're saying, can you say more beyond what you said about what you take to be the biggest differences and approaches taken by Western medicine and traditional Chinese medicine? And just a quick, I think the first question about the microorbits was from James, and this one's coming from Jagua at the temple. So the biggest difference in approaches between Western versus traditional Chinese medicine?
I think the biggest difference is that the Western medicine seems to, again, that, like I said, all of my family, we have regular MD. So I have great respect and in Western medicine, and I'm trained to do. So I really do, personally, I believe the best medicine is always integrative medicine, right? Because we learn from each other. So we look at human life from a different perspective. And however, all those perspectives, when we put them together, will have more a holistic view. And that's been said, I think Eastern medicine tend to see the connection between one to oneself, to the organ systems. So we see it more holistically compared to, that's Eastern medicine. Western medicine is more, we treat the illness. Yes, so if you have diabetes, I'll give you something to treat the diabetes. And if you have broken leg, then I'll, deal with the broken leg. So it's more a illness focused. I think Eastern medicine is more a wellness focused.
Thank you for that. Another question that's come in is from Nan. It says, is it possible to discuss specific herbs and anything else to treat the mental exhaustion and depression that so many of us are feeling right now?
It's a very good question. So what's the difference between one single herb with a formula? Okay, so I will answer that. So, so I think that one single herb, a lot of times I have patients come in and says, Dr. Lu, I heard that this herb will do just that. That herb will do just that. And is that true? It is not. It is the first step, right? We study a single herb. But what is in traditional Chinese medicine, because we have so many generations of histories, right? So people begin to, long time ago, that throughout history, they create formulas. So the formulas is that you put different herbs together and they come out to do something completely different than just one individual herb. So in our clinic, what over the years, through, the monastery training and through the family training. And then we have about 100 very mature formulas that help people with variety of imbalances. So one of our formula is to help people to balance that their anxiety. And so there is a group of ingredients in that formula that working together will help people to de-stress and help them to balance their anxiety. So there's no one individual, but a group of herbs, and how they work. There's another, that should be another topic for another day, how they work together. Who is the king? Who is the queen? Who is the minister? Who is the one that make harmony? And who is the worker? So all of them working together. So the herb is become alive, right? So that will help you to treat your specific imbalance. Does it answer the question?
Yeah, I think it raises a lot more questions for me. I'm curious, last time I saw you speak at the temple, you also talked very closely about the relationship between mental health and gut health. And I think if I remember correctly, you said something like, in your tradition, there isn't sometimes not even concepts for mental health, you only talk about the gut, but you did talk about this close relationship between the two. And I'm wondering if you can say more about that to our current audience.
Yes, so we say 脾胃为后天之本. That means that your GI system, that is the second most important organ system. And the first one is your breathing. If you're not breathing, we're done with, right? So in traditional Chinese medicine, or in my monastery, we have, when people come in for healing, right? And when I first came here, that I was really surprised by how many children were being put on medicines and to control their mind or to help their mind to work right. There is no such a thing. It's really not. Or people are taking variety of medicines and try to get their mind right. I always suggest, look, let me help with the gut. Right, so is that your gut becomes stagnant. It could be your liver becomes stagnant. It could be a variety of reasons to cause the gut to become stagnant. When the gut is become stagnant and inflamed, of course, who wouldn't have mental imbalances, if we must call that way? So instead of treating human mind, we focus on balancing human body. Because different part of your souls and do live in different part of your organ system, yes?
Yeah, thank you for that. And I before I get to the next question, I'll just say, I remember coming in last year, and just to say to the audience, I was having a combination of gut health and just really racing thoughts and all sorts of things. And I remember one of the practitioners, I forget who I was working with, but had said something about this connection between the two. And it was one of those moments where it just, like, wow, that really matched my experience for the last 3 months, and I didn't even have words for it. So I think there's a lot to say there. I hear a lot in what you're saying about communities, and you talk about like community of health, like our broader human community, because of the history of our knowledge of medicines and how they work over time, and so there's a question that some of us had about, as we're looking forward ahead of us, as you said, this coronavirus is not surprising. It'll probably, other things will come up. I know a lot of us have climate change on our mind and climate catastrophe and just really unpredictability now in terms of how nature is working. And so my one question we had for you was, how do you think we individually, or we as a community, local, global, human community, really need to start looking forward? What do we need to do to prepare for what's coming in before us?
I think that there are several steps, right? Step one really is to be humbled in front of nature, to say that, or to try to rebuild the connection, to know, to understand if we continue to ruin the nature, we are killing ourselves as well. So if that's all, like I said to my patients, I'm a healing tool. If you all have tendency to kill yourselves, and go for it, right? What can we do? But to know that nature cannot be messed up with, right? Are we doing something to nurture the nature, and in turn to have good energy coming back to us, or are we just continue to do things to cause the bee to disappear, and now the birds are falling out from the sky and dead, and all these things, that if nature is ill, we are ill. As individuals, what we can do is to understand this is the concept. We are a part of nature, and we are a part of that, try to reconnect ourselves with it, and then look within to say, oh, okay, I need to balance the basic things, my sleep. So how do we start with that? I need to balance my pooping. How do I start with that? Because guess what? If you poop better, you will have a better relationship with nature. I'm telling you. So, so how do we eat more mindfully? How do we be content of what we are and what we have? How do we live in the present? How do we be kind to each other? So all these things, then slowly we begin to build up a community of like-minded people, because my friends, we will need that. The turbulence are not going away. It is the time for that.
Thank you for that response. And then thinking about our individual and eating mindfully, there's a question that came in from James. It's how should we, as we're entering the fall, how should we prepare? Well, he said, how are we prepare for the changes ahead? He may mean bigger changes, which I think we've just addressed. But I also read into that question, how do we prepare for ourselves for changing of the seasons? And I know you have a lot to say about how we should live in accordance with the seasons. So
there are, in my training, we say every 5 days, nature has a little turn. So there is this micro little transformation happens every 5 days. You start with day 1, you end up day 5. And then there are 24 of the 15 days are so important. We call 24 节气. And then you have together, you have the year round. So we have a very detailed calendar, in monastery, what we do with the seasonal change, right? So also that in our clinic, and we give people guidelines of when each season comes, right? Late summer, what we are just done, and entering early fall. What is it that your body crave and you should be eating, right? The fall is a season of lungs, which we do have a pandemic out there. It's not working. Let's hope that people will be more mindful of building up their lung systems, right? And in traditional Chinese medicine, we have this concept, your lungs and colon are connected. Yes. So if your lungs are doing well, your colon will do well, and vice versa. So how do we do that? So we have a very detailed fall dietary guidelines. I will encourage people to go online and check that and print out. All this information are free there. So, but if I must give you one recipe, okay, so we have good pears. Michigan pears are in season. And get your children steamed pears. Get good pears, cut in half, drop a little bit local honey, steam that for a little bit, for 5 minutes, and then give them. And that will help them to build up their lungs. And try it yourself. It's really pretty good.
I think I'm going to try that. Thank you. I'm curious, as other questions are coming in, you have such a wealth of knowledge that's grounded in so much history. How are you working to preserve that knowledge, or where does that, like in terms of a transmission, or where does it get stored and worked in?
When I was 21 and I was given a choice, either I would stay in monastery as a diagnostic healing monk, because I am the 45th generation of the diagnostic healing monk in my monastery, or I would come out to the world and given a calling or a mission. I actually really, for several days that I chose each time my mentor, he's over 110 now, he's really, so when he asked me that I said, well, I'm staying, I'm not going anywhere. But knowing that in this lifetime, the calling is outside monastery. So knowing that I do that through building up this little jewel of our Nourishing Life clinic in Ann Arbor, that I do believe people are craving for the knowledge. They crave for certain ways of life and on this type of teaching. So I am hoping that I will, through just this type of conversation and training more people, that we will continue to introduce the concept of nourishing life to people. You do it step by step. And we'll see. I mean, if you have any ideas how I should do it, let me know.
Well, I think everything is working well so far, so don't have any ideas now. In terms of the talk today, you gave us, I saw some specific practices like how to breathe, and you gave some tips around it and talked a lot about eating and specific things to think about, like pairs and then with the packing. One thing I don't know many people know about, but from my experience with Haju and coming to your clinic, is foot massage and foot bath.
Yes.
And how important that seems to be. And I remember when we talked last year, first thing you said is you need to do a foot bath every night with ginger in it. And
yes.
Can you say something about that to people and how they should maybe do footwork on their own at home?
So that your feet really is the first sign of imbalances, right? And it is so important to take care of your feet. So in monastery, what we do, or in Eastern medicine, what we do is we encourage people to work on their own feet, right? And to do a foot massage. And then but before you do that, and to do a really nice warm herbal soak. So we have a variety of herbs we give people, and we encourage them to do 5 and 10 minutes herbal soak every night. And then when you're in bed, and to do another 5 minutes of foot massage. So that is very, very, very beneficial to your health. So if people, let's say small kids, if your kids has temper problems, or and try that. And there are certain points that you can massage that will help. And then also stress level and depression, and people who have, if they can't sleep well, and foot massage you will find that it's easy to learn. Everybody can do that. And also it's a really nice time that you have for each other and yourself.
Yeah, I will say, in my experience at the temple, that at least last summer, it seemed like a community of foot massaging going on, in terms of the way that people were caring for Haju, but just the kind of the way we relate to one another too. And I used to do hospice volunteering, and this idea of loving touch that happens as people are passing away, that was very I won't say popular, but it was something that was offered, seemed to be really important. Just simple hand massages and foot massages when people are on that threshold.
Yes.
Was very moving experiences. Thank you for that. And there's a question come in about your future. And do you plan on going back to the monastery, or are you going to be with us in Ann Arbor? Well, with us in Ann Arbor is coming from Ann Arbor, or do you plan on being with us in Ann Arbor for years to come?
This is my calling, and I am. This is my little monastery now. Do you look at my garden, please? And I am. It is my plan to establish a strong healing community in Ann Arbor and beyond, that we understand the important concept of how to nourish one's life, and we build up that community, we expand that community. So yes, it is my plan is such a word. It is my life journey. My life has led me here, and I'm very, very fortunate to build a good team of practitioners as well, that we continue to introduce this concept to people. And because this is such a time of what as a society we are doing with our health is not sustainable. There has to be other ways of look at human life, of look at how we are as humans, how we are as souls. I've been practicing medicine for many years. I have never seen so many people the past 5 to 10 years so sick. So the time to change ourselves is now. So I want to be a part of that service, to give you tools how to nourish your life.
And then maybe as one last question, and then any final comments that you want to give for us. We talked a lot about health, and how do you see spirituality, and it could be Buddhist practice or other practices? I know a lot of in Zen where you make everything particular. So a lot of our health practice you talked about, that is spiritual practice. But is there more to say about spiritual practices on top of that, or how would you see spirituality playing a role in this? And then any last comments you have for us, and that we're so appreciative of you being here today. So I'll let you take that.
So we have a very interesting concept. We says in traditional Chinese medicine, different part of your souls or different part of your spirits and live in different part of the body. Your heart is, we say, 神明圣言. 神明 is the one, is the spirit. It's the spirit that enters every being, that is the light of us, that lives in our heart. And also that the heart, the other part is reason, right? So if we're able to reason, right? So that together, you see these two very yin and yang concept, they intertwine and they live in our heart and live in our heart system, right? Because when we talk about the difference between Eastern and Western medicine, the Eastern medicine is not just the organ, right? It's a system. So that the heart, that the spirit, the light, and the power to reason, and that live together in the heart and in the heart system. So what we need to do is to nourish the physical heart. Then the spirit will shine upon us more fully, right? So who lives in our lungs? So we say that pu, that's the part of the soul, that's the part of the spirit, that when we are born, that borns with us. When we pass, when we are gone, it goes with us. So that part that lives in our lungs, right? So then how do we nourish that? Because that is our daily friend. And that when we grieve, when someone is grieving, when we are, when we have this, so then that we say, oh, that we nourish your lungs. And when we are very attracted to someone or being attracted to, that's your lungs. So how do we nurture this part of the soul that live with us and die with us? And Hun lives in the liver system, right? Hun is the one that we have the concept that human souls, they don't die, they reincarnate from many terms until one become incarnated, right? That is a concept. So where is that piece of? Yeah, that is in your liver. So that's why the liver system is so important. That is like old friend each time. How do you nurture that? How do you reconnect? We keep saying, how do we reconnect ourselves with us, right? That's the liver system. And a lot of people have liver energy stagnation. A part of it is that piece trying to tell you, hello, what are you doing? So, and then we also have the intellect that lives in your spleen system. That's why when people says, oh, I cannot think straight, I cannot think well, I say, well, you have dampness in your spleen, let's dry you up a little bit. So, or people get confused easily. And then where is your courage? Where is that original type of energy that we're given that lives in your kidneys? So when people said, I'm so afraid, I have fear, and we know they need to balance their kidney system, right? Because the courage that lives in your kidney. So you see, again, that is a concept of fullness, a concept of wholeness that in our system. So we mustn't leave any part out because they're all important. So I hope that answers your question.
I think we've answered. Oh, back to you.
Then you have your spirituality, right? Then because the truth is not far from us, it is within us. We just need to dust sometimes. So spirituality is not beyond a human being, it is within us.
Wow, thank you very much, Dr. Liu. From all of us here, I think on the audience, and I can say for myself in the temple, we really appreciate you being here. The temple, we're going to go back to the temple now, and feel free to mute yourself, and if you want to stay around, we'll catch up. But back to the temple, just deep bows to you. Thank you very much from all of us.
Be well, my friends.
Thanks so much, Dr. Liu. You've covered some topics that we've heard before. It's always good to hear, and also some new ones. And
so I am actually thinking about maybe do a regular Sunday afternoon teaching, and we will send you that information if we decide to do that. Yes?
Are you speaking to me?
He did. He was speaking to the audience, and we're back to you now in Zen Temple, Ann Arbor. We're back to you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Again?
Yes.
Again, thank you, Dr. Liu, very much on behalf of all beings, inside, out, and nature. So the next part of our time together today is the 4 great vows, and then we'll do some announcements from Hayun, our Dharma teacher. So, all beings, one body.
All beings, one body.
I vow to liberate.
I vow to liberate.
blind passions, one root.
Blind passions, one root.
I vow to terminate.
I vow to terminate.
Dharma gates, one mind.
Dharma gates, one mind.
I vow to penetrate.
I vow to penetrate.
The great way of Buddha.
The great way of Buddha.
I vow to realize.
I vow to realize.
Just come and sit by Haju for announcements today. So thank you, Dr. Liu, for being with us. That was a very rich Dharma sharing that we had today. We invite you to continue to join us on these Sunday live stream services. We will be here at 10 o'clock every Sunday morning. Immediately after service, there is a tea time, and the link to that is on our Facebook page, as well as a link to Recovery Dharma, which meets at noon. Today begins our practice period. It's an exploration of the Four Noble Truths, and also an opportunity to get together, talk about your home practice, and share what is going on. So the two facilitators of that are Maju, Brian Gens, and Bopi Bendara. I'm not sure I'm saying his name correctly. Anyways, if you want to join that group, please email the temple and we will loop you in next week. Today is an organization, more of an organizational type of meeting. So if you have an interest in practice period, please let the temple know. Join us for early morning sittings in Burns Park, 6:15 a.m. on most days of the week, not on Wednesday, not on Saturday, but all other days. And even though it is a little bit dark and chilly, we do enjoy those sittings, and it will continue at least through the end of September. And lastly, thank you so much for your continued support of the temple, both in terms of financial resources, your presence with us on Zoom, and just being part of our community in a broader sense. We can feel your presence and know that you're here with us. So I think that's it.
I just wanted also to thank Kusa for being the person helping with the technology, and also for working with Dr. Liu this morning on the questions and responses. Thank you, Kusa, all the way there in Colorado Springs.